So back in March of 2017, we went on a vision trip with Pastor Tim Agnello. He wanted to show us the Mexicali base and see if it was something that we would potentially want to partner with. We got to see the base, the different ministries, the needs of the city, and we immediately fell in love. We love that even though we were a short-term missions team and we were only going in for a week, we saw how we were pouring into the long-term vision of Gil and the base.
So that was the start of our 6-month journey. Abby and I were super nervous because we've never led a team and we've never taken a team to Mexicali. Just really nervous about whether we had what it took to lead this team.
I was worried that could we afford to bring the whole family, and was I just going to be there in Mexicali watching my kids there for a whole week, because Scott can go by himself and I could stay home and just watch my kids in Hawaii. God wanted me to actually let go and let him be in control and let him use Scott to rise up as a leader of our family on this mission. So our minds were blown how God answered all those prayers.
I was afraid of drinking the tap water there,
getting kidnapped, or getting lost in Mexico.
At Mexico, I couldn't speak Spanish with the other people and I couldn't understand them, but I could also make friends.
I'm so glad God chooses to use us despite our inadequacies. As I was preparing for Mexicali, I remember reading through the passages about God calling Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Moses' fear was so crippling that it actually prevented him from obeying God's command. And I believe the reason Moses was so fearful was because he was only focused on himself and his power alone. Something I learned is that faith in our own power results in hundreds of fears and inadequacies, but faith in God's power can accomplish miracles. Maybe God purposely created Moses to be insufficient in speech because then it would force him to rely on God. God purposely called Moses out of his comfort zone and into the unknown to force him to trust in him. God didn't force Moses into obedience, and I don't think that he does that for any of us. But what I realized is that instead he promised to empower and equip Moses with every necessity needed to carry out his plan.
I'm a total introvert, so I was really worried about going on this trip and being around people constantly all the time.
I was worried about that too. I thought for sure with such a big group, we would have conflict.
But God allowed me to be open somewhat to what he had to teach me and to what he had to show me by dealing with these different concerns and going through the different concerns that I had.
We had so many great times on our car rides, doing ministry together and praying with each other. It was amazing how we became a family.
It had been a concern and prayer of mine that nothing serious would happen to my health because I found out at the last minute that I would be traveling without medical coverage. And wouldn't you have it, my first night there welcomed me with diarrhea and queasiness in my stomach. And by breakfast, I worried that I was feeling worse. And so I asked the team to pray for me. And right after they laid hands on me, I ran to the restroom, feeling dizzy and nauseated. And in the next moments, they were less than glamorous as I threw up several times. It was in that moment of humility and desperation that God completely healed me.
God really was in control. One of the things that I struggled with in getting ready for this mission trip was, wanting to plan everything out and wanted to go exactly the way I wanted to, especially since it was going to be the first mission trip. Everything just worked out great. I mean, everything lined up, and it was just amazing how God, when he says that I got this, he really does. And sometimes we just need to release and know that he cares more about the people than we could ever care.